So this week is our roundup on the theme of joy. And one of the things that's become so clear to me is that joy doesn't happen by accident. It's well, when we're children, we just live in joy, right? We can live in joy, but joy as a lifetime of way we live doesn't happen by accident. It's a conscious choice to heal, to grow, to learn, to forgive, repeat, repeat, repeat. And so I want to bring us back to the great quote by Unity classic author Mary Kupferle that I said at the very beginning, which is joy belongs to you, whether you know it or not. Joy belongs to you, whether you know it or not. It is yours now to discover, to use, to exercise, and to bring into expression. Hopefully, since we've been talking about this for a couple weeks, you feel that and embrace it even more. And I also wanted to remind you of the quote from Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, that I used a couple weeks ago when we were meditating from Unity Village. And that is, joy lifts one up on the wings of the morning to the spiritual heights where all things are seen in right relation. Count it all joy. So I just wanted to overview. Some of us have been doing the book study on the Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. And you can still join us if you want. But they have 8 pillars of joy. And so I just wanted to share my thoughts on those for a moment. And then we're going to do a meditation that includes all of that, which is why I'm talking first and meditating second. And of the 8 pillars of joy, the first one is perspective. And I think that reminds me of that Myrtle Fillmore quote that I just read, which joy lifts us to the spiritual heights where all things are seen in right relation. So we have more joy when we can kind of zoom out from the situation that may feel like it's overtaking us in the moment and give us an opportunity to see a bigger picture. Gives us an opportunity to shift and see someone else's perspective. It gives us an opportunity to breathe, to deploy our spiritual powers of strength and wisdom, understanding, compassion. The next pillar is humility. And that's not about putting one above another or putting another above me or anything like that, but it's being in connection, knowing that we are all here as fellow siblings on the planet, not only with the other humans, but with all of nature and equal partners. And so when we have humility, we don't have to be about being above other people or judging other people or adding up to someone else's thing. We can just be here to serve. Happy to open the door for you. Happy to do what needs to be done. Happy to receive what is given. The next pillar is humor. And you might, well, obviously, joy is about laughter, humor, but it's not only about telling a great joke, even though I do think that's a great tool for attitude adjustment. Having good humor is, as a pillar for joy, is a deeper experience of just not taking yourself so seriously. And that's what I appreciate about the great spiritual teachers, not only the writers of this book, but that they just don't take themselves so seriously. The problems of the world and the things that we need to overcome and change are serious, but we don't have to take ourselves seriously. We can have joy. We can have fun. We can wear silly costumes. We can do all of those things. The next pillar for joy is acceptance. And some people say, well, I'm going to change the things I can't accept. And I agree, we should change the things we can't accept. But this is not about acceptance, about saying everything's okay. It's about recognizing and being real about where we're at. I've said it many times, a GPS cannot tell you where to go if it doesn't know where you are. It just can't. And so part of joy that is acceptance is saying this is where we're at. And so we're not fighting against the truth. It doesn't mean that it has to be the final answer, and it doesn't mean it means where we're going, but we don't need to fight against where we are at. We just accept that this is where we're at. We don't have to put any energy into that. We put our energy into where we want our GPS to take us. Another big part of joy, forgiveness. I know, we say it all the time. It's not always comfortable, but what if we breathed into that? What if we breathed into forgiving whatever is a barrier to our joy? What is a barrier to us having connection? What is a barrier to us expressing our whole selves? Often forgiveness is what was required to remove those barriers. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of someone else, forgiveness of the situation. And one of the tools we can use for that is another pillar, which is gratitude. That one's a much more comfortable pillar than forgiveness. Gratitude, we go, oh yes, but what if we woke up each morning and went, wow, isn't it amazing to wake up in a warm house, in a warm bed with, people I love nearby. Warm water coming out of the tap. My heart beating in my chest. Gratitude. It doesn't have to be just for things. It can just be for being. But sometimes, you got to kickstart it with things like, I got warm socks on my feet. I find that if we can find joy and gratitude and appreciation in the little things, then life is just more fun. We don't have to wait for the big thing to happen. We don't have to wait for, whatever it is, the big thing that we're waiting for to happen. To have joy, like if we can find joy in fuzzy socks, then let's have joy in fuzzy socks. And let that be a seed instead of waiting for the big thing. Our seventh pillar of joy is compassion. I think this, to me, hooks together a lot with perspective. And that compassion also hooks up with love. And compassion is not only about compassion for others who may be showing up in ways that you don't prefer or who are having a difficult time. Compassion is also about for ourselves. When we show up in ways that we don't prefer, or when we're going through a difficult time, or when we did in the past, right? If we can have compassion for the us that made a choice that was difficult, or maybe not what our now self would choose? Can we have compassion for our past self? And then we can forgive ourselves for making that choice. So compassion is a great tool for breaking us out of being stuck and into joy. And then our final pillar is generosity. And some of us will probably practice generosity tomorrow when we hear our doorbells go ding dong. And we'll practice handing out hopefully treats. My tongue got stuck there. Hopefully, you won't be handing out tricks, but you never know. I mean, whatever floats your boat. So we get to practice generosity in that way, but I find that it's just more fun to be in a place of generosity. Like, I have a friend who says you can't outgive God. And I think that that's a great way to think about it. Like, we are all here being a part of the circle of giving and receiving. And generosity is not only about, candy and Halloween or money to, a cause. It's also about our time. It's about our energy. It's about our love. It's about our intentions. All of those things are part of our generosity and our ability to be part of the circle. And I think, even though we're going to spend all next month talking about generosity, spoiler, part of generosity is being willing to accept others' generosity to us so that they can have the joy of giving.